Great. So, as I said a minute ago, welcome guys to the call. This is going to be, somebody mentioned a webinar or a seminar, but yes, I suppose it could be, but it's a lesson. And I used to do videos, 10-minute, 15-minute videos of developing the mindset, kind of taking ideas that I have and that I've worked through over the years and sharing it in a way that can benefit the person who listens to it. And this is going to be very similar. So I'm going to share with you what essentially I believe is a formula to be able to set and follow through with achieving goals. It's an interesting way that I've worked it out, and I do a lot of the stuff with you, but this way that I'm going to explain it is actually a formula, it's a system, and if you see the value of each part of that system, you'll know that you can't skip through it or not have that in place because ultimately there is a big amount of people saying that they want to get something, achieve something. So they have a goal in mind, but a very high percentage of people do not actually reach those goals. There is going to be a lot of information that I share. And for some of you, it'll be amazing. And you'll be like, that's so good. I'm going to take that on board, I'm going to make the changes, and I'm going to think about and meditate on these things. For some of you, it might not do anything. I don't know why there's a difference in people receiving information and some doing something with it and some not. I don't know why. But the truth is, that is how it works. So beforehand, you could choose to be that person that takes the information and goes, whatever it's going to be, it has to be good. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to take from it so that I can benefit myself and work towards my goals and achieve them better. Or you can be the other person and not, right? Try to beforehand be that person that goes, I'm going to be like good soil. Whatever I hear now, I'm going to take on board. I'm going to put into and figure out how I can use so that I can accelerate my progress or even begin my progress. That's that's very important. So I'll tell you a little analogy, well, not an analogy, but more like a parable from my favorite book that is essentially is like trying to explain this part of what I want to do with you. It's all about soil. So a farmer goes out to the field and he sows seed into his field, but some of the seed lands on the path, some of it lands on rocks, and some of it lands in the thorns, and some lands in the good soil. And if you think about what I've just said, that's the different people in the world that receive information. Some of them receive it and it's been taken away by birds. Others receive it and it goes down quickly, but because there's stones in the shallow soil, it sprouts up, but then nothing comes of it. Others get choked by the thorns, and others flourish. And the thing is, this message can be like something of all those for each of you. And I hope that it is for good soil. So let's get started. Years ago, I thought to myself, I have to come up with a system, a formula, a way for me to explain how to achieve results, especially fitness. But now I've applied this to other areas of my life and go, well, that's perfect. It works for anything. Like, for example, what I'm doing to the property. Like, my background is not working with tools and with my hands. My background is working with my head, my eyes, my words. I am a communicator. I spend time with people. I encourage them. I teach them. That's me is my whole life has been someone who taken information, figured out how to change it so other people can take that information and run with it because I was passionate about fitness at 15 years old. So essentially I was like born to do that. And I've done that. So when I've turned 40 and I've like seen my property and seen that my wife is upset because she can't do this and this and this, I think to myself, who's responsible for this? I'm like, it's me. I'm responsible to make sure that she's happy and she has the house that she can make a home. So I think to myself, okay, I can't afford to pay tradespeople to do all these things. So I'm like, damn it, all that bad attitude of saying, I don't know how to do something, I don't know how to do something for all these years needs to stop. And this is where you can start to see I've had to learn the skills to be able to do the things that I've done. And this is what I've done so far. I've laid wooden flooring throughout the entire house. I've put colorboard fencing with double cement bags. This is the first time I've ever worked with concrete in my life. I remember mixing up the first bag. I was like, oh, I don't know if this is the right thing. Some of you will probably be laughing. Dave, I reckon you're probably laughing. But the truth is, this is like all brand new stuff. Like, think about how bad my skills were that I would, in the past, use a power drill a hole into the wall, put a wall plug in, screw up the curtains, and then the curtains would fall down. That's how bad it was before I learned how to do these things. So now I've put up 56 meters of colorbond fencing. I've built a gazebo inside of my pool area. I've built a pergola, freestanding 6 by 3 meter pergola. I've put a shade sail up and I've compacted my lawn and put artificial turf. But before that, I ripped up all the trees in the property. There's about 11 different trees, big ones, eucalyptus ones, dug up all the roots, chucked them, had to get rid of all that. And I had 15, 16 tons of sand delivered to the house. Nobody knows that I've been doing this and getting up. But I think Danny might know because on Mondays I have a chat with Danny, and then I'm like, oh, I was in the garden doing all this kind of stuff, and she laughs at me. But I've managed to learn how to drive a bobcat thing on my own without any instructions, just spending the time because I have a vision to give my wife a house that she can make a home. That's my inspiration. Like, I have to learn how to do these things so that I can give her what she needs because that's to me valuable to me, right? That's my why. So that's an example, and I wish I had the photographs to show you, but because I'm not done with it all. I've also done paving for the first time the other day. It's like a nightmare cutting freaking pavers with an angle grinder. I'm like, yes, this stuff is pretty challenging. You need to learn how to do these things. But I've spent the time, coughed the dust, I've done the work, I've made the mistakes, and but guess what? If you come and have a look at my place, you'll be like, wow, can't believe it's coming together like this. And when it's done, I'll show you photos and maybe we'll even start having socials around the property. That's how confident I am with the work that I'm putting in. So that is my own personal story of how this system works in the current time, not in years past where I've worked towards achieving my pro card or worked to open a gym and run it successfully. Not that. This is different, but it's worked the same. So this is how it works. The formula is called IM6. I M to the power of 6. Now this is the first letter. Each of those letters, that's uh, one I and the rest is M's. These are all words that come off of those letters. The first one, I, is inspiration. All right. And the reason why it needs to be first is because nothing ever happens without inspiration. Now, what that means is it's like what it is. What is the goal? What? And the what ties in very closely with the next why. But it's like, think about it like this. My dad used to say, what's the desire? My dad taught me a lot of stuff when I started out in fitness. And he said, what's their desire? What do they want? That would be the first thing he'd ever ask me after I'd finished speaking to a person for the first time. It's like, what do they want? What's their goal? What do they want to achieve? And sometimes, because I was super young, like 15 years old, I would come away from talking to someone and be like, I don't know. I didn't find out what they wanted. But I learned very quickly that that was the most important part of, well, the first important part of the process of helping someone to get the result. You need to know what it is that you want. But in your cases, you know what it is that you want. You see it clearly in your head, or you don't see it. And if you don't see it, then we need to talk about it because unless you can see clearly in your head what it is that you want, you will do nothing to achieve it. It needs to be clear. It needs to be like, when in the mornings there's dew on the window, you wipe it clean, you'll be able to see straight through the glass to exactly what you're looking at. It mustn't be blurry, it mustn't be vague, it must be clear. And I'll tell you one thing, it doesn't have to be huge, but it has to be something that's clear and it must be something important to you, something that lights a fire in you that says, I need that thing. I want that thing. I need that, right? Now, some people will have like a small goal where they want to lose 5 kilos of body fat, and that's just their goal. But some people want to get on stage and compete as fitness models, right? That's a different goal. And it doesn't matter what the goal is, but you must want it bad. right? If you don't want it, you can say, like I've had conversations with people for years that they want to get results and then they do nothing. I'm like, you don't really want it then, because if you want it, you do something, you try hard. And if you fail, you get up and you keep trying. The warrior mindset that I've taught you all, and you've maybe listened to the video, is that even if you fall down, you get back up. That's what a warrior does. Warriors don't lie there and wait for a stretcher. Yeah, they don't throw in the towel, put up the white flag. They keep getting up. That's trying hard, right? And then sometimes they don't succeed because they don't really know what to do. But a lot of the time, most people don't succeed because they stop trying. Um, so it doesn't matter what the goal is, but you do need to have a what. I call it a what, an inspiration. What is it? I ask these questions like, how do you see your physique? How do you see your body? Right. And then your description would be, I want to put clothes, my underwear on and not see any wobbly bits. Right. That's a clear what. Then the question is, why? Why do you want that goal? So the second step in the process of understanding, after you have just figured out what inspires you, what makes you want, what is it that you want to achieve? Yeah. Then you have to ask yourself why. And if you can't figure out why, you will not go for it. You will not achieve it. I like to use the example of a person who um, wants to drive a Lamborghini, right? Let's say like some 20-year-old kid who's just out of school, halfway through university, he's like, wants to drive a Lamborghini. That's his car he wants to own. Uh, the person, if there's two guys, both of them want to drive a Lamborghini in their lifetime, the only person who'll achieve it is the one who has the big why attached to it, because it's going to make them feel macho. Or they're going to feel invincible. They're going to feel something that the other person cannot associate or connect with having that vehicle. So you got to think about why you want to do something. And if you don't have a why that's big enough or good enough or reason, trust me, you won't do it. It's just the way it works. It's the way it works. I don't make this stuff up. I just have witnessed it. And I'm telling you, you need to know what you want to achieve. It needs to be super clear, and you have to know why. I'll give you my example. My why for doing the things that I'm doing to the house and to the property is because I want to see my wife happy. I want to make sure that I provide everything for her, that she doesn't feel stressed. She said to me times she's got, she doesn't know where to put things. She used to say to me, it's always a mess because she doesn't know where to put things. The kids are noisy in the house because they've got nowhere to play outside. All of these things are just stresses and stresses and stresses for my wife. So my why is that I need to give her the things, the house, so she can make it a home. She has the desire to have a beautiful home, but I haven't been able to provide that in that I've never done any work with my hands. So we bought an old house, and only after 10 years, I'm learning how to fix it up and make it beautiful. But that's my why, because it's like I want to make sure that she's well. And I've said this to the pastor's wife. So important for a husband to make sure his wife is well. That's his job. Like, I honestly feel like that's my responsibility. So, like, well, I must facilitate everything that she needs so that she is well. So, whether that's giving her that space and time to go and exercise or, you know, whatever it may be, that's my role. And that's my why. It may not be the same for everybody, but that's mine as a husband. So, and I will do it. Like I said to her, when I'm like, my foot, I've hurt my foot, or I've chopped a tree down and landed on the neighbor's house. It was the stressful thing ever. But at the same time, I ripped my shoulder by holding the rope that I was trying to pull the tree back with. But I'm like bruised and cut. I often ripping up all the tiles in the house. I was picking up the bags to throw them away. I got cuts all over my legs. I'm like, doesn't matter how many cuts and bruises and sprains and aches and pains, and doesn't matter because my why is bigger than what I have to go through to get the what that I need. Does that make sense? If it does make sense, that so that you can see the value that you put into something, doesn't matter how hard it is, because your why is big enough, nothing's going to stop you from achieving what you want. Then just, if that makes sense, I just want to see inside of the chat, just give me something that makes me know that you're still with me. Yes, Sarah. Yeah, we've spoken about this, Sarah. You know. Yeah. Yes. Loving it. Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. So we get to this point where we have this why. And the reason why we need the why is like I've just been telling you, because no matter what happens and how many times you get knocked down and how many difficult days you have and how many times you lose focus and how many you don't stop, you don't give up. Even when you're in pain, you're still strong. Actually, that's the thing that I've been telling my wife. I've been saying to her, she's like, you need to rest, you need to chill you because I got arthritis in my spine, right? So a lot of the time my back is in agony. And I said to her, even when I'm in pain, I'm strong. And I keep saying that to myself. I'm in pain, but I'm strong. Even with pain, I'm still strong. And that's a mindset to have because as soon as I get up and start moving around, the pain goes away because I'm now focused on what I need to do because my why is bigger than my pain. And so, like, for example, if you're struggling with your food and you don't want to track your calories, you feel like it's hard, but your why is bigger than your attitude towards not tracking your calories. Think about it. If your why is big enough, no matter what you have to do, wouldn't be a problem, right? Because your why is big enough. You need to have a what, you need to have a why. What is the direction you're going? It's the goal, it's the destination, it's the thing you want and you need. Why? Because it's going to change your life. It's going to improve things for you. It's going to make you feel amazing. It's going to make you feel like a hero. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. You know what it is. But we need to get to those two things. And that essentially, without those two things being in place, trust me, nothing happens, nothing changes. I said to my one client, let me see if she's here. No. I said, she asked me questions about like what I do and do I get frustrated? And I said, no, I don't get frustrated. Aggie, you know this well. I'm like, I, for me, the number one thing is to be able to nurture, support, and provide solutions to everybody's problems. So I'm there all the time to be able to do that. Nothing frustrates me. I don't feel like obviously there's a sense of urgency to help you get your result, but the thing is, to me, it's not a stressful process. Sometimes a person might feel stressed out when they're not getting a result, but I don't get stressed out about it. We just analyze and we go, okay, this is the reason why that didn't happen. Frustration only comes to me when someone says to me, I want, and then the entire behavior is the opposite to that. I want, followed by I quit. That doesn't make sense, right? That doesn't work out in my head. Like if you try and fail or try and don't achieve the goal, I'm like, great, you tried hard. Let's figure out how we can learn from the trying that wasn't sufficient to get you the other half of the journey. Perfect. Good attitude. Let's learn and we figure it out. But don't, it's quite frustrating when someone says, I want, followed by I quit. That is very important. And I think that I share that because you must also, all of you, have been surrounded by people in life, and you probably have experienced that when someone says to you, I'm going to do this, but then they don't. They do the opposite. That's basically not having integrity. Who likes a person who doesn't have any integrity? You can put it in the chat. Anyone? No. See, nobody likes that. Have that almost every day. Yeah. No one likes that. You need to have integrity. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And if you don't do it, then you obviously don't want it, right? It means that you are opposite, not congruent with your words. Your behavior must match your words. And if it doesn't, it makes no sense in my head. That means that you don't have integrity. If you told me your what, you told me your why, did nothing, that means that what you said was a lie. It wasn't true. You just gave me lip service. You just said to me, I want this. This is my why, then let's do this, and you go do the opposite, then it makes me think, well, then you're that doesn't make any sense. Okay, I figured it out. You don't actually want. That's the truth. You don't have integrity. Your behavior must match your words, must be congruent. Right. And moving on from that, once you've figured out what it is that you want, why you need it in your life, how's it going to transform your world, then you move to the strategy of actually how to get ready for this. Now, I'm going to move quite quickly through this next section. First is mindset. Now, a lot of people understand that mindset's important, right? But what is it? So this is what mindset is. Mindset is a set of attitudes, right? So you have to establish a set of attitudes. What are these attitudes? Well, you could kind of call them characteristics as well. If you are a negative, pessimistic, frustrated, discouraged, doubtful, um, critical person, do not expect to get very far in life, in anything you do. What you need, those characteristics essentially are your attitudes that have established your mindset. So your mindset is a pessimistic one, a glass half empty kind of person, and everything you do in life is just going to be shitty. And excuse me, I actually think that word isn't a swear word, just so you know. I just don't think it is. So if you have better characteristics like optimism, problem solver, enthusiasm, excitement, you know, if you have like a preparedness to learn, a willingness to change, great attitudes. This is how you establish a mindset that will lead you to where you need to be. So when it comes to achieving all your goals, you might not be the person right now because you might have a whole bunch of set of attitudes that are not right. And you won't ever deserve to achieve what you want. Even if you have a good why, you're going to be like this person who, or you might get there, but it'll take very long. So you need to become the person beforehand, change the characteristics about yourself. If like this is a great example when people say to me, um, let's use the food tracking one for an example. Food tracking isn't that hard, but some people say it is hard. What's the difference? Me or them? Are they right or I'm right? Who's right? Them or me? No, we're both right to ourselves, right? I think it's easy, they think it's hard. But that's an attitude. My attitude is like, even when I'm in pain, I'm strong. Whereas if a person cuts their hand, bang, I'm quit. I'm going to go and sit and not do any work for the next week. If that makes sense, you can give me a high five or a thumbs up, but you need to adopt the characteristics of a successful person, of a person who has the goal. If you want to climb Mount Everest, you need to learn the skills that people who climb Mount Everest have. If you don't, then you won't change. And it's usually the attitude. That has to change first. This is another one. Procrastinating. I've got a little notes here that I'm looking at that I wrote down. Like having integrity. That's a great characteristic. When you say you're going to do something, do it. Follow through. Your behavior must match your words. And then discipline, persistence. Those not being lazy or procrastinating or excuses. Figure out how to overcome the problem. Don't think about why you can't. Because trust me, they're freaking flying rockets into space. If people can fly rockets into space, surely that like another person can track their calories. Like just think, it's like these guys are like doing crazy things on this planet. People are jumping out of airplanes, but some people don't want to walk into the gym and do a workout. Think about it. It's not hard stuff. It's like you got to have the right attitude, have the right characteristics so that you can get there. And anybody can achieve any result, huge, like within genetic reason. You can't turn yourself into a female if you're a male and a male to a female, or you can't make yourself an animal, right? You're a human within reason, right? You can't change your genetic code, but you can build muscle, you can lose fat, you can get super fit, you can run a marathon if you wanted to at any age. Like, think about it. There's so much that you can achieve, but it's our minds that limit us because we don't actually do the things to make those changes. Right. So once you've got changed that mindset and you've adopted the characteristics instead of the attitudes that's required to follow through with what you need to do, then you need to map it out. That's the next M. Map it out. You need to have a map. It needs to be set before you. My map, right, when I'm working with you, isn't like on this date, this is what has to happen, and this date, this change is happening. My map is like, this is a phase that you're in right now, and when we get to the point where it needs to change, we're going to change it to a different phase. But I check you every 7 days, right? So that I can keep my finger on the pulse. This is like one of the next things. Accountability, keeping my finger on the pulse. I need to know where you're at and if you're moving in the right direction. But we have a general outline of where we're going. So you need to map it out. You need to know where you're going, and then you keep yourself accountable to it because the next thing, just one thing. The mapping out, like I said, of the phases. This month, I've introduced like a few people I've been messaging. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this goal inside of your app, 4-week goal or 12-week goal. If I haven't done that with you, it's because we haven't got to the point yet. But ultimately, I want to put these little things in place for you, bite-size chunks of the big picture. You go small section of the big journey, and you work towards achieving that. So that's all part of mapping it out. The next is you've got to manage it. Now, who thinks that they can manage something without KPIs and measurements? Let's say Apple, $1 trillion business company. Who do you think? What do you think their books look like? Their accounts, their paperwork, and all those numbers that they've got. Who thinks that that's like they just randomly just come to the end of the financial year and think, oh yeah, I'll just quickly go and do my books? It doesn't work like that. You don't take a company and make it the way it is without numbers, without tracking, without consumer reports, without seeing how things sell and what marketing does. And you need to know through tracking what works. And that's why the tracking in what we do is so important. That's why when somebody tells me about a daily, well, I don't want to climb on the scale daily because I have a bad relationship with the scale. I'm like, think about it. Your attitude or your mindset towards the scale needs changing. All right. And we happen to hop on the scale because there's a specific reason why we want to see the trend of your weight. Why? Because we know that energy can't be created or destroyed. It can just be transferred. So when you're trending upwards in weight, we know you're building muscle or fat. If your centimeters are dropping, it's muscle. If your centimeters are going up, it's probably fat. So we kind of get a picture with the tracking. So measuring, managing, and then adjusting. It's all part of getting to where you want to go, right? And then with this management comes manipulation. Now, manipulation, not like the emotional trauma that people put on one another. Manipulate, right? When you take something and you twist it and bend it, and you can manipulate something to be a shape that you want. That's what I'm talking about. Right now, I'm manipulating my entire property. I'm digging up things, I'm planting things, I'm putting things in the ground, I'm manipulating the landscape and I'm changing it. It's going to be different, but that's a process of manipulation. You take something, you change the positioning of it, and now you manipulate it. It's different. That's what you've got to do. Constantly change things, constantly make things better. Like that's why we change the workout program every 8 weeks. Got to keep manipulating things. And if something's not working, as an example, if you're being super disciplined and consistent with the calories that I've given to you over a given period of time, but your body isn't responding to it, what do? We keep banging on that drum? No, we manipulate, we change. We're going to try a different strategy. We might have to do a reverse, adding more calories to see if we can get your metabolic rate up a bit, build more muscle, change it to a strength phase or a muscle building phase if your fat's stopped. I understand how the metabolic adaptations occur inside of the body better than anybody that I work with, and probably across the industry, to be quite honest. But that's why I manipulate things and I put suggestions out there. But and that's why if you had to actually go and see, recently I had a meeting with someone who did competition prep with other coaches, and I asked her how many calories she was given, and it's shocking at how little calories she's been given in each of her times that she's gone to stage in the past. I don't do that with people. I don't stress their bodies, and I have a much higher amount of calories that I tend to give to a person when getting to stage. And so the same thing that happens when I'm helping somebody just achieve the dream body or lose body fat. It's not about torturing yourself to get the result. If your body is saying, nah, I'm too stressed out, I can't do this, we need to change the strategy. That's manipulation. We need to change things up. All right. So, and then finally, I've done so well because this is my last one and I've only been talking for half an hour. It's great. Last time's call was like a little bit longer than I was expecting it to be. Right. The last thing is to master it. Now, I'm going to just explain this like this. I used to call it masterpiece. But essentially, right, you've created a masterpiece because you've become a master at it, right? You have become the master. You have become a master builder or a master artist or a master something. Now, if you were to think about the difference between a person who had 10 hours of painting lessons versus Michelangelo, right? You would obviously know that Michelangelo is the expert, the master, and everybody can learn from the master. Michelangelo, insane, right? Person who's done 10 hours of painting lessons down the corner at their local warehouse gallery place, they're not going to have anything on Michelangelo. Who's the master? Person who's done it for 10 hours or the person who's done it like Michelangelo and has been awarded probably one of the greatest artists of all time. Now, this is the point. How do you master it? You master it by doing it over and over and over and never giving up, never giving up, never giving up. And the other thing is you make this journey or this goal or this thing that you want who you are. You make it who you are, not just what you do. Right. So you then are identified by others as that thing. So let's just use an example. A person who normally wears a size 14 and they've done it, they've worn a 14 for 20 years since high school. Right. Everyone knows that, well, whatever her name is, Genevieve, we'll call her that, is a 14. Right. What happens if Genevieve meets me and spends a year with me? And now Genevieve turns into a size 8. Okay. She then adopts the lifestyle, changes the attitudes that she had in the past towards food, towards herself. She's adopted that lifestyle. And now it's becoming this permanent thing inside of her. She goes to the gym regularly, 4 days a week. She becomes a size 8. All right. People who see her now can't identify with her because they identified with her as a 14 from all the years before. But the ones now in her life see her as an 8. And so that becomes her identity. You need to make sure that your goal becomes you. You need to become it. It needs to become you. People, when I used to go out for drinks in England, this is kind of like the identity thing. In England, it's a drinking culture massively. If you go out, you drink. But I used to go out and not drink. Nobody used to say, "Oh, David, oh, you're being all spoiled. You need to drink with us." No, nobody even questioned it. If I say, "No, I'm not having a drink," they wouldn't because they knew me as the guy who ran the gym, who was in shape, who was a bodybuilder, this is all of who I am, and not the person who goes out getting sloshed, binge drinking, partying, doing crazy things. That they see the difference. So then if a person who constantly goes out and gets parties and gets drunk and gets messed up and says to their mates, "Nah, not tonight," they go, "Oh, come on, you," whatever they say to them. But that's how people start to recognize you becomes your identity. And that is when you have mastered it. That's the key. You create a masterpiece in yourself of whatever you want, like a person who goes out and establishes a business and makes it super successful has become a master at it and created a masterpiece, right? Same thing with your body, same thing with your health, same thing with whatever goal it is. You become a master and you have the total control and power over the thing so that you can make it into a masterpiece that other people can look at it and go, "I'm inspired. I need that thing." Why? Start the process again with someone else. So this is kind of something I wanted to share in a video format like this for a long time, but this is the stuff that I essentially, when I had my gym in Woodvale, oh, it's about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, I came up with a system, and this is basically what I do with people. But now it's out in a video, and you can listen to it again if you need to. But I'm gonna now stop the record. Actually, before I do, just want to. My favorite book is the Bible. That's where I got that from. So I'm gonna now end the call, end the recording. Yeah, it's a great book. It's got lots of good stuff in it. I'm gonna end the recording and then I'm gonna give you all an opportunity to ask me questions about the journey and also share how you felt about the conversation, but individually we'll be talking as well. So let me just find the one button that I need. Stop recording. All right. Thanks for watching. If you've been watching this online, and if you need to speak to me directly after this, do that. Reach out and book in to talk with me, and or send me a message, and let's get stuck in with it.